welcome or welcome back if you're new here for another book and breakfast. This month I'm giving y'all some fluffy ass pancakes and some fluffy ass book recs. Y'all know how we do. We cook, we talk about what's new in books. So let's get into it. We're gonna go ahead and start with our blueberry syrup. I'm just adding my blueberry, some water, sugar, lemon juice, and lemon zest into the pot, and this is just going to simmer over low heat until she is the viscosity that you want. I would like it nice and thick, like me. Y'all will see at the end. And once that is all copacetic and doing its thing, we're going to go ahead and start working on the pancakes. I start with my dry ingredients first and then I work on the wet. So we are going to go ahead and add in our ingredients for the pancakes: flour, brown sugar, I believe this called for baking powder and baking soda. So you're going to mix all of your dry ingredients, set that aside, and then you're going to mix all of your wet ingredients. I will have the full recipe down below in the description box because this is one that I found and have been wanting to try. So while you guys watch me whip this thing up, we're going to talk about some upcoming releases because y'all, it's popping right now, okay? Let's start with what just came out this week. We have Lethal Souls by Shanora Williams. This is her final installment in the Vicious Bonds series. So I'm super excited about this. I absolutely adored Vicious Bonds. I still need to read Wicked Ties. So I don't know, we might have to do like a little reading vlog or maybe like a live stream if y'all want to catch up with me. And then we have the Love Archives Anthology, which also released this month. Again, this is for a good cause. This is over 100 romance authors coming together to create a 4-book anthology. I already have my ebook, but it is now available in paperback format. There's 4 books in total. So if you want to give back and also get some really awesome bonus content and exclusive scenes from some of your favorite authors, check out the Love Archives Anthology. And then y'all, we're getting more in the New Haven universe. J.L. Seegars is getting ready to drop Reclaim Me at the end of the month. I am super excited about this. We're getting new characters and getting some insight into some newer players in New Haven. I need to catch up in the New Haven universe because I still have not finished Revive Me, the last part. So I definitely need to do that. That's going to be in an upcoming reading vlog actually. So be on the lookout for that. I know that ARC signups are up right now. If you are under the Good Girls PR influencer team, check that out. Then we have Daydream by Miss Hannah Grace. This is book 3 in the Maple Hill series. I'm sure all of y'all are familiar with Icebreaker at this point because it has gone viral for its heavy smut, but I thought it was just a really cute ass book and it was a vibe. I really enjoyed Wildfire, so I'm excited to get Henry's story. This is also coming out at the end of the month, along with the conclusion of one of my favorite fantasy series, A Dawn of Gods and Fury by K.A. Tucker. This series follows a young career criminal named Remeria who goes on a high-profile job only to end up being put into the middle of a ritual that lands her into an unknown world in the body of a princess who is on the run for murder. I absolutely adore this series. It has just been a wild ride. I've been waiting for the last book to come out before I start the 3rd book because I didn't want to be left on another cliffy. So I'm excited to close out this series. Like I said, it's one of my favorite romantic series of all time. Then we have Between Desire and Denial by Shain Rose. This is the final book in the Hardy Brothers series. The series is all billionaire romance based on the Hardy Brothers that are in this universe. And y'all, it is so good. So good. And then we also have Marriage and Masti by Nisha Sharma. This is the final book in the If Shakespeare Were an Auntie series. I absolutely adore that series. We're going to talk more about that series later, actually. But make sure you guys check it out because Nisha is absolutely phenomenal. And this is what we're left with, y'all. Pancakes are so simple, so I didn't feel like I needed to give y'all a step-by-step. But this was beautiful. The lemon ricotta pancakes came out absolutely perfect, soft, and just everything. I also have some homemade lemon curd to go along with this. I will also leave the recipe for that in the description for you guys if you would like to make it. But I'm just spooning that luscious, perfect blueberry syrup over my little stack of pancakes and adding a nice dollop of lemon curd to the top. This was so satisfying. It was light but still filling. It was everything. It was so good. So again, I will leave the links to the recipes for both the lemon ricotta pancakes as well as the blueberry syrup down in the description box, and I will also leave you guys my personal lemon curd recipe. It was so good. I hope that you guys enjoyed that recipe. Those pancakes were some of the fluffiest, just most supple, like divine pancakes I have ever made. They were so good, incredibly flavorful. My mom and I both agreed that that is one of the best breakfasts that we have had, like, at home, and y'all know I be cooking. So if you are interested, I will make sure to leave the original recipe down in the description box below, and I will be sure to tag the creator, and I will also leave you guys my lemon curd recipe in case that is something that you want to add to your repertoire. It's delicious. It's tangy. You put it on lots of different things. All right, so let's go ahead and get into these books. Especially with us going into like back to school season, I wanted you guys to have some things that are just like fluffy and fun and cute. And they are all diverse because, you know, a lot of people try to act like brown folks just write about trauma. And there are fluffy reads out there, so y'all have no excuse, especially once I give you these good goods. So the first one is a favorite, and honestly, this author is such a master at giving us soft, tender romance that is fluffy and lighthearted while also like covering more so difficult topics, as well as making sure that there is always disability rep, neurodivergent rep, chronic illness rep. Like, she hits it out of the park. A lot of y'all probably know who I'm going to say, Miss Talia Hibbert, and I highly suggest you get into the Brown Sisters trilogy. Those include Get a Life Chloe Brown, Take a Hint Danny Brown, and Act Your Age Eve Brown. It follows 3 Black sisters in the UK, and they all are kind of dealing with their own certain subset of things. We have neurodivergent rep, we have disability and chronic illness rep as well. Get a Life Chloe Brown follows our girl Chloe. She is chronically ill, and so she deals with a lot of disabilities, and her story is between her and an apartment manager who end up in a kind of tit for tat where she offers some services to him in exchange for him helping her cross some things off of her Get a Life list. It was super duper cute. The romance is just precious. I love the way that Talia Hibbert really encompassed what it is like to live with a chronic illness and the setbacks that it can present within one's life. I deeply saw myself in Chloe Brown as a chronically ill plus-size Black woman. Take a Hint Danny Brown was also phenomenal. I think that one was probably like the funniest of the 3. That one follows their sister Danny. She is currently in college, I believe, and she ends up in a situation where she is in one of the buildings and there is a fire incident, and the security guard that she has been kind of having this like little bantery cute situation with, Zafir, ends up going in and getting her out. And when he is coming out with her and like the perfect carry, people catch it and put it on the internet. And the whole world ends up shipping them, and it's not something they can get out of because they're shipping each other. It was really cute. It was really funny. And then we have act your age Eve Brown. Eve Brown is the baby sister of the family, and she has really struggled her entire life with kind of being the black sheep. No one really takes her seriously. She has a really hard time homing in and focusing on things. And so she's someone who kind of starts things and stops and finds something else to kind of attach to. And her parents give her an ultimatum that if she doesn't, you know, get her life together, that they're basically going to put her out and she's going to be on her own. So she gets up and she walks out, and she ends up at an inn where she pretends to be a chef and just wreaks complete havoc on the owner of the inn, who is also like super adorable. There is also a lot of neurodivergent rep in that one as well. They're all like 3 perfect, fluffy, but still steamy rom-coms. I love Talia Hibbert. She just gets it right every time. And if you also are in your Princess Diaries era, highly suggest The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. It's exactly what it says it is. We have Ruben and our girl Cherry. Cherry, she's that girl. She is fine as hell, and she is working in one of the departments at a private school that Ruben is visiting. And when he visits, he runs into Cherry, and he is hyper focused. He is like, that is my woman, right? He takes her out, he wines and dines her, he takes her home, he starts kissing up on her, they start getting hot and heavy, and next thing you know, some random paparazzi is taking pictures of them. And this is the moment that she finds out that Ruben is actually a prince of a foreign country, and he locks her into marriage. It's so good. Also really cute, really funny. It does deal with some heavier topics, but it's done in a way that doesn't overshadow the romance and the comedy of it all. So if you want something fluffy, I always tell people hit up Talia Hibbert, because she just does it masterfully. And then we also have Make a Scene by Mimi Grace. I need to read the other books in the series because this one has me locked in on Miss Mimi. Make a Scene is a fake dating romance. We have our baker, Retta, and our gym owner, Duncan. And so their businesses are neighbors. And Retta is kind of going through it because she is currently in the wedding season of her ex and her cousin. And she has made a deal with herself that she is not going to be going to any of these events single. And so she is on a full-on dating spree. Nothing is working out. And she is just struggling trying to find some kind of man that she can post up with, because she is not trying to pull up single. And so in the midst of these issues that are going on between her business and the gym that is next door, she ends up running into Duncan. Duncan has a thing for her. She has a thing for him. And she says, you know what? That might be my boyfriend. And so she gets him to fake date her so that she can pull up to all of these events and not look like a bitter ex. It was super duper cute, definitely funny. It was a vibe, very short, sweet, and to the point, and I think the perfect book if you want something that's going to be just like a good palate cleanser, like you've been reading really dark, you've been reading really sad. That book is going to pull up, and it is going to make you feel so much better. It was definitely a vibe. So highly suggest Make a Scene by Mimi Grace. This book is such a gem. This is A Proposal They Can't Refuse by Natalie Caña. And this is the first book in the Vega family series. I do have the second book on my shelf. I have not cracked it open yet, and I think the third book has been announced in this series. The first book follows Camila and Liam. So Camila and Liam grew up together. Their families' businesses live side by side. Camila's family owns a very popular restaurant, and next door, Liam's family has been running a distillery. So Camila and Liam were best friends back in the day, okay? But there were tragedies that occurred in Liam's family, and afterwards, things really pulled apart, okay? And so Camila is currently struggling because she is trying to keep her family's business afloat. The family is like, look, girl, if we gotta let it go, we gotta let it go. And she's like, I don't understand how y'all can just let this go after all these years, right? And so Camila's grandpa and Liam's grandpa get together and knock their heads around and tell Camila and Liam, well, if y'all go ahead and get engaged and promise to get married to each other, then we will give y'all the keys to the kingdom. But you have to do it together. Listen, those two sneaky octogenarians, okay? This was such a good book. It was spicy. It was funny. I love seeing the different cultures, right? Because we're seeing the culture from Liam's family line within their distillery, but also the heavy influence in Camila's family with her Puerto Rican culture. This was such a good book. It was so good. It was just a vibe. Again, it's one that does weave in like some more difficult topics, but that does not overshadow the fluffiness of it all. Like this book kind of feels like a hug. It really does. And I adore it. And I have the second book, and I do own the first book. I just don't know where it is. But it's okay. I actually want to get a copy of the first book to match this one. This is the If Shakespeare Were an Auntie series by Nisha Sharma. The first book is Dating Dr. Dill. The second book is Tastes Like Sugar. And the third book is getting ready to come out, I believe, at the end of the month. I have so many deep attachments to this series. I actually spoke to Nisha about this. Dating Dr. Dill was the first book I read after my mother's cancer diagnosis. And after that diagnosis, we had so much death in the family already. And I couldn't pick up a book. Like, I could not read. And I just told myself, like, you need to try to do something. And that was the book that I picked up. And that book made me laugh, and it made me cry, and it made me smile. And it was the first thing that made me feel after that situation. So I'm always going to carry a candle for that book. The first book in the series follows Karina and Prem. Prem is known as Dr. Dill. He is a cardiothoracic surgeon. Sorry, I had like a Grey's Anatomy moment. I started thinking about Christina Yang and Dr. Burke. But anyway, he also has like this small television show that runs on a small network. And it is a show where Dr. Dill kind of gives you all the reasons why like love doesn't have anything to do with the heart and stuff like that. And then we have Karina, who was she is a lover girl. Like, she is the lover girl, right? And her family is on her because she is getting older. She's getting closer to 30, and she's not married, and she's very much like focused on her career. And things really start to push her heavy when she finds out that her dad is planning on getting rid of the family home. And she is trying to get that home and keep it because she doesn't want to lose the last piece she has of her mother. Her sister is a YouTuber, and she goes on the show of Dr. Dill's. And while Karina is in the audience, she is listening to this man, and she is like, oh, he is full of shit. Fuck him. And not only does she feel that way, she shows it and ends up making an entire spectacle of herself. And after that, all of her prospects when it comes to relationships dry up like that. But also, some of the opportunities that Prem was working on also dry up. And so the aunties end up getting together and putting their heads together, and they're like, you two need to suck it up and date each other. You two need to suck it up and figure this out. And it is definitely a vibe. Prem is definitely giving grump, and Karina is very type A sunshine. Like, she only wears sweater vests and glasses, kind of type A, like that. It was really good. It was really cute. One of my favorite rom-coms of all time. And Tastes Like Shocker was also such a vibe. This one follows Benjamin and Bobby, and they are the respective friends of Prem and Karina. Prem and Karina are getting married, and Bobby is the wedding planner. Benjamin is the chef. And they have a kind of enemies to lover situation because back in the day, they tried to hook up and things went wrong. And poor Bobby thought that he was fat shaming her. And so they have hated each other ever since. And they have like this very long string of like banter and jabs. And it is great. But they end up having to work together on Prem and Karina's wedding. And it brings them back together. Not only was it fluffy and the romance was romancing, Benjamin right here, he liked to tie the girls up. he liked to tie the girls up. So for those of you that are a little kinky, you get a little bit of that in here too. It was great. I cannot wait for book 3. I'm ready. Nisha is one of my favorite authors and also just like one of my favorite people. She's just so sweet. And she's one of those people that whenever she talks, like you just kind of feel like you have to listen because she gonna lay some shit down. She gonna lay some shit down. Though we are still in summer, like out here is hot. You know, it ain't pumpkin spicing yet. But I feel like this is a great transitional read. And also like a great fall read. I love this world. I love this author. Wishful Thinking by Celestine Martin. Y'all, it took me a hot ass minute to actually get into this book, but when I did, I was so mad at myself for not actually sitting down and opening this thing. Okay, when I think I was doing like a little book haul and I saw this while I was in Barnes and Noble. I saw the cover and I was like, I have to have that. I have to have that. This series follows the Caraway sisters. And they are living in a small town called Freya Grove. This is a small town of magical peoples. There's everything from witches to gnomes to mermen, which is where our boy Alex comes in. So Lucinda is a witch. She is a Caraway witch, and she is also a teacher in Freya Grove. Even though she loves her kind of small town life, she does still kind of wish for more. One night she sits down with her cousins and they all do a little bit of a spell with the hopes of helping one of her cousins is supposed to be getting married. And Lucinda makes a wish that she just wants her life to be more interesting. She doesn't want to be that person that is just sitting back watching life happen. She wants to be the main event. And after they make this wish, all of these random things start happening, including this baby right here popping up. Now, Alex, he's a little bit of a wayward man, okay? He is a merman, and the lore behind him and his family and just the mer community in general is that they chase treasure, like they chase adventure and they chase all these things. And so they were very close in high school, and then he just up and left, and all of a sudden like he is just this guy that is traveling the world, and you know, he's that person that always has his camera on. He's this renowned vlogger, and he's doing all these really, really cool things. And he ends up back in Freya Grove. And he is the biggest test for Lucinda because they have a lot to work out. She's very hurt because she thought that she was important to him. And he showed her very quickly that the most important thing to him was chasing anything that was shiny and new. Y'all, this was so cute, so whimsical. Like, I love Celestine Martin's take on the paranormal. I absolutely adore it. It gives very much Gilmore Girls, small town, with Black characters that are also magical. It was such a vibe. It was, I need to go ahead and read the second book. I have book 2. Book 2 is about one of her cousins, and if you know, you know, she was... There were a few times I wanted to. So I am excited to read Hers, I think I'm going to read that soon because Deja Brew, the third book, is coming out, I want to say in September. So, super duper hype to get into that. But y'all need to get into Wishful Thinking. It is such a good, whimsical, fluffy, like feel-good read. If you're someone who really likes more fantasy, but you're trying to get into some romance, I highly suggest this. There is some spice, but it's not crazy spicy. Like it's mild. It's mild. But it still did what it needed to do. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know what it is. We got to talk about my boo, Aight Valdez. I have All I've Wanted, All I've Needed, and the beginning of Forever, which is the end of Ace and Harlow's story. So our story starts off with Harlow. She is a young 20-something who is dating who she thinks at the time is the man of her dreams, until he pulls up with the ring. And she realizes she does not want to spend the rest of her life with him. She realizes that she accepts that ring. She is going to be beholden to every single one of his dreams, and she's going to have to give up every single one of hers. So she turns down his proposal, goes on a vacation to Bali, and when she comes back, she picks up all of her shit and moves to Seattle with her uncle. And while she is there, she is teaching yoga, and she gets a job at a coffee shop. And one night, while she's working at the coffee shop, she meets this bomb chick and ends up meeting her best of friend. Not only does the coffee shop lead her to one of her best girlfriends, it also leads her to Ace. Ace is the tattoo shop owner that works down the street. He comes in one day and he is just giving Harlow hell. But they end up creating their own little bond of their own. Harlow doesn't want to jump anything too quick. She really is just trying to live her life relationship free. And so Ace says, look, I don't have to be your man, but I damn sure can be your friend. I think this is probably one of my favorite takes on friends to lovers, because they do really start off as friends. He respects her boundaries, but he is there for her. He helps her. He shows up for her, and she shows up for him. But of course, their friendship turns to more. I mean, how could it not? They're super duper cute. And so this is the beginning of their relationship, and this is what it leads to. So the beginning of Forever is basically our look into the wedding of Ace and Harlow. It's really, really good, really sweet. These do, of course, again, have like some more serious topics woven in, but they are still super duper sweet. I think this is more so like I would consider temporary romance. There are some funny elements in here, but I wouldn't consider this a rom-com. This is definitely contemporary Black romance. It was such a vibe. I love it. I love Aight Valdez in general. I need to get into the rest of this series. I have the King Brothers series that I've been reading, but I need to get into the rest of this one because I'm ready to read about all the friends. Definitely, if you are someone who loves friendships in your books, you got to get into this one, because we don't just have the most beautiful friendship between Harlow and Ace, but all of the other friends that come in, it definitely, I would consider this to be found family as well. It's so good. Last but not least, we have Sight Unseen by Kasha Thompson. If you want something that's going to give you fluffy reality TV rom-com vibes, you got to get into this. This one is about Evelyn and Quincy, and they go on a show that is basically like Married at First Sight. And so they sign up for it, and they meet each other at the altar. And they were not expecting each other to be so damn fine. They weren't expecting the experts to give them their perfect match, but they do. And this book chronicles all of the ups and downs and woes of marrying somebody that you have never known. It was so good. It's sweet. It definitely is spicy. And you definitely have like some drama in there as well. But I adore the way that this was written. And I love that Quincy, even though you think he's going to give quintessential fuckboy, like he really, like he comes through, like he really does. All of this was just such a vibe, and it was the perfect like cozy, comfy read. Like the read you pull out with a really good glass of wine and your fluffiest blanket. That's what this is. So good. Right, I hope you guys enjoy this installment of Book and Breakfast. Again, everything will be listed in the description box below. Make sure you check that out. All of the links to the recipes, as well as all of the titles that I mentioned here. And I'll also have like my Storygraph accounts and things like that mentioned if you would like to check those out. And make sure you stay tuned because my reading wrap up for July is going to be going up on Thursday. I love you guys. Thanks so much for rocking with me, and I'll see you in the next one.